Hello everyone, welcome to the top 10 reasons The Force Awakens was just okay. I do want to start by just saying I did like the movie. The movie was better than the prequels, not as good as any of the original movies. So we're going to go through the 10 things that I think made the movie just okay. I feel like there was an overall hurried feeling of the movie. I think the movie would have benefited from being longer and not having more scenes, just some of the scenes being longer. The Lor San Tekka scene with Poe was very quick and short, and in that span of time we realized that there's a lot of history with this character, and then he died, and then that was it. I think he had 6 or 7 lines maybe. That felt really rushed, like it was maybe cut down to cut the whole length of the movie down. The scene where Finn grabs Poe to get him to help him escape, that felt really hurried. And then the scene of them leaving took too long. Like, we had to see that he was a good pilot, so we got to watch him just fly around a while before he got hit and they fell to the planet. It felt really weird. It felt like there were parts that were cut too short. Phasma was almost completely pointless. If you would replace Captain Phasma with just another stormtrooper with like markings to indicate that it was a captain, and they just called her Captain, it would have been exactly the same. Phasma having the special armor had no significance. Having a name had no significance. All the other stormtroopers had call signs like Finn did. FN2187 or whatever. She's Captain Phasma. And they did all these interviews with Gwendolyn Christie about how she was a strong female character and she's the first female bad guy in the series. And I think she even said like she sees Phasma as a feminist. Then you got a couple of scenes where she berated Finn for not using the blaster on Jakku, and then we got the scene where Finn makes her disable the shields, and then they just kind of leave her there, and that's the last time you see her. If they gave her a name and a special uniform, she might have significance in the next movie, because she didn't have any significance in this one. The whole reveal that Kylo was Han and Leia's son. Star Wars is a movie that's known for having one of the biggest twists in movie history, with the way Darth Vader revealed himself to be Luke's dad. People talked about that like crazy. People still talk about it when they talk about twists. It was huge. And then the way this is revealed is Kylo is talking to Snoke, and Snoke says, "Your father, Han Solo, blah blah blah, is with them." That's how we find out that Kylo is his son. That's boring. That wasn't like a whoa. That was a I guess that's a thing. Just kind of looking around like, oh, did everybody else hear that? That was weird. And then they kept pushing it on you because he watched Kylo go into the ship with Rey, and then he saw Leia and he's like, "I saw our son." And then Leia's like, "You're his father. Maybe you can help him and take off your helmet. I want to see my son." I'm like, I get it. You're his parents. You don't have to keep telling me. Maz Kanata saying that having Anakin's saber is a story for another time. That reminded me of the worst line in Destiny when the stranger says, "I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain." And I'm worried that the way that she said that's a story for another time, that might be a kind of underhanded way to advertise a book. Like the story of this lightsaber is going to be in a book. So if you really want to know how she got it, you're going to have to read a book. Not like reading a book is a punishment, it's just, in the end, the story might be that a scavenger found it on the surface of the planet after it fell out of Cloud City, and it just found its way to Maz, and like, you could have just said that. Because Han was like, how did you get that? We may never know, unless, like I'm saying, if we have to read a book, that won't be a punishment, but most people are just going to Google it after the book comes out. Adam Driver was okay. His voice when he had the helmet on was grating to me, and it ended up not really being that intimidating. Like him with his lightsaber in like a still frame or a shot with him just holding a saber, that's intimidating. When he's talking, it didn't seem deep and dark or anything like Vader always did. Vader always sounded like you knew he was the bad guy. Kylo, you know, is the bad guy because he has a helmet on and a red saber. Then when his helmet came off, he seemed whiny, he seemed angsty. He reminded me of Anakin in the prequels, and nothing should remind me of anything in the prequels. But also, at the end when Snoke said, "We have to complete his training," maybe he'll be more evil in the next movie. I know, him killing his dad, that's super evil. I'm just saying, his voice, with or without the helmet, wasn't intimidating to me. It fell flat for me. Snoke. Because Snoke was a hologram, he might not be a giant alien thing. And I really hope he's not a giant alien thing, because a giant alien thing being a Sith or being a dark side user or whatever they're called now, and the fact that apparently he's been around a long time, like he existed during the other movies but he just wasn't involved. It's like that kind of throws out the prophecy and the balance, and I don't know. It just seems really weird. And the way he looked, there's too many theories. Like he could be Plagueis, or he could be the Emperor all messed up because he has the huge scar on his, like his whole face and head's messed up. Or he's completely new. If he's completely new, that's fine too. Having Andy Serkis playing, I guess they got him to play him for the other movies because all he did in this one was sit. This is another thing about Kylo, a couple of things that I'm just kind of putting together. When Han said that Kylo has too much Vader in him, I felt like that was just like a line that was kind of written to keep reminding you that you're watching a Star Wars movie, even though Han is saying it to Leia. I feel like the line would have had more of an impact and would have made more sense if he would have said he has too much anger in him, or he has too much sadness in him, or he has too much jealousy in him. One of those things that we've heard before that leads to the dark side. Say that, not Vader. Mainly because Vader was a good guy, then a bad guy, then a good guy in the end. So like saying he has too much Vader in him is just off to me. And then there's the fact that he was named Ben. Like when he yelled Ben, I was like, his name is Ben? For one, Han Solo never knew Obi-Wan as Ben. Leia never knew him as Ben. Han never really had a connection with him. He was somebody that was going to pay him to fly him somewhere. And he was always Obi-Wan Kenobi to him. To Leia, he was only Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that means whenever they had their kid, Luke was hanging around and going, hey, you should name him Ben. Because that was Obi-Wan's fake name that he went by when he was hiding on Tatooine. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. R2-D2 waking up for no reason. There's the theory that since Rey might be Luke's daughter, that the reason R2-D2 came online was because he sensed Skywalker blood or something, which doesn't make sense because that would mean Leia would set it off too because they have the same bloodline. But if he had woken up earlier, he already had like 95% of the map. They could have just known to look in this 5% section of the map where Luke would have been, and they would have been looking for him a long time ago. And if they would have found him a long time ago, the whole thing with Han might not have happened, and he wouldn't have been killed. This one, I like the story okay. Overall, the story's fine. So I understand in the context of the story, this couldn't have happened, but there's like a deep part of me that's very, very upset that Luke and Han won't have a scene together. So the last time they were ever around each other was for Return of the Jedi. Not that that was promised. They didn't promise, wait till you see all your favorite characters in a group hanging out again. They didn't ever advertise it that way. And it's not that I assumed it would happen. It's just, I hoped, because there have been rumors that Han was going to die for months just because he wanted to die in the original trilogy. But I wanted, like, whenever they first tell Han that they have information about where Luke Skywalker is, the way he pauses and he's like, I knew him, and I'm like, this guy misses his friend, and we don't get to see him ever see his friend again. This last one's bad because this last point, number 10, the last point, if it were to be fixed, the entire story would have had to have been rewritten, which I don't think would have been a bad thing. This war is going on and Luke doesn't sense that this is all happening with the Force. He doesn't feel that Han's about to die or that he's died. He's not doing anything to help his friends. I understand that Luke went into hiding because he felt responsible Kylo Ren turning to the dark side, because he was under his care, he was under his training at the time, but he went to the dark side. I'm guessing that he killed the other Jedi or the other Padawans that Luke was training at the time. So Luke felt ashamed, like Yoda felt ashamed, and he went to another planet. But I feel like if he really felt responsible for Kylo Ren going to the dark side, wouldn't the best way to atone for that be to go back and save everyone from Kylo Ren? What is it that Rey is going to say to him to make him actually come help that he wouldn't have already sensed with the Force? Luke has talked to Leia before through the Force, so how could Leia not just send a message to Luke to tell him they need his help? Why do they have to physically find him? See, if Luke would have sensed all the danger that was going on and he would have just gone to help, there wouldn't have been an episode 7, 8, 9. There would have been an episode 7, and it would have been over at the end. Like how A New Hope just it was a self-contained story. It didn't need to keep going. It was just too big, and George Lucas was like, well, we have to keep making a story. Part of me went into it kind of expecting that since I knew that they were going for more of a traditional feel, more like the originals. I was kind of expecting this one to feel like a complete story. But it had a cliffhanger. And the cliffhanger was good. Like, I mean, in my theater, the first time Han came up, everybody cheered and clapped. First time Leia came up, everybody cheered and clapped. And then immediately started laughing when C-3PO came into the frame. But when Luke first came up, you already knew it was him. He turned around, you could see his face. And when he took down the hood, like exactly the same way as Obi-Wan, nobody cheered or clapped. They were just like, it was just dead silent. Like the most quiet the theater was the entire time. And I think part of it was half of everybody was like, whoa, this is Luke Skywalker. Like, this is what we've been wanting for the last 400 years. That's probably not right. I think the other half of the people were sitting there thinking, this is the end of the movie. I know that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is where it ends. There's not going to be any more dialogue. It's just going to end in the credits, and then I have to wait 2 years. And that's what happened. But like I said, overall I think it was a good movie. There's just some problems. And I still look forward to the other ones. I'm going to be watching this movie again next week. Possibly 2, 3 more times. I don't know. Because I know other friends want to watch it with me. So I might make another video next week. But anyway, thank you for watching this rambling mess of a video. I wrote down my 10 points. And I kept to them. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.